Welcome back to Western Revealed. Next up, we talk to a researcher who's developing a new way to detect E. coli in food.
Our lab's had a long-standing interest in immunopharmacology, as the interaction between the immune system, drugs, and the environment. And about 6 years ago, we were discussing things with a local entrepreneur, Mike Brock, who was interested in our food safety interest. And he said, well, can you apply this, or rather our drug safety interest, can you apply this to food safety? And we said, yeah, I don't see why not. So we obtained some startup money. We got some grants from MITAX, which is a drug prevention provincial program, to commercialize things. And we've moved along. Because we're not invested in food safety, because we came into it from a new angle, from the angle of the immune system and from the drug safety angle, we looked at it from a different way than conventional ways of looking at it. So we thought a bit outside the box, actually a lot outside the box. We found other partners, a partner called e.coli, which is a company in Mississauga that has technology that's complementary to ours. So we worked together and we've developed this new system for food safety. It's quite different.
So this is basically the enrichment media. We do measure a specific amount of the enrichment media. And we pour it in the stomacher bag. Now, usually you weigh a certain amount of the food samples. This is, for demonstration, this is a sample of raw beef meat.
You know, it's not too often you go without hearing a problem, whether it's at Maple Leaf or Chipotle or somewhere where there's a food-related impact. Indeed, the U.S. CDC has estimated that as many as 1 in 6 Americans get sick during a year because of food-related illnesses, which is big. It's huge. So we're talking tens of thousands of people a year, along with many sickness, but also lots of deaths. On the industry side, this is a situation that costs the industry hundreds of millions of dollars a year for recalls and testing and everything. So it's a big problem. We've devised a system now in which we take the sample. So going back to your hamburger plant, you get the sample, you mix it with our enrichment broth for about 16 hours. And the next day, so say at 5 o'clock, you say, okay, that's it for the day, guys, let's pack it in. The next day, you get your thing set up. So overnight, it chugs away. The next day at 8 o'clock in the morning, you come back to the plant, you go to the enrichment broth, you take a sample out, and then you put it on a test cassette. And it tells you within 15 minutes, go, no go, E. coli, no E. coli. So instead of having to put it out there for 5 days, expose yourself to financial risk, expose the general public to disease risk and problem of those things, we can say in 16 hours, yes, no. So we think this is a big advantage. We've actually validated it. It's gone to the University of Guelph, who have duplicated our results with 100% accuracy, which is, as a scientist, I'm impressed. I've never had an experiment turn out that well. And it's gone to Health Canada for approval. Now we're getting ready. Now our partners we're working with are getting ready to say, let's get this out on the general market. Let's start doing this. So that's where we're sitting right now. Well, the approval should happen fairly soon because the data was we've been working very closely with Health Canada on this. We've been going back and forth, a lot of dialogue, and they've been very helpful. I mean, because they're very interested in this as well. Because obviously Health Canada would like to make sure our food is safe. So we're working with them on that, so that the approval should be fairly soon, and then it's getting out there. Now, this is a bit of a paradigm change. So food companies are always going to be a little reluctant to jump into this new venture because they're worried about it. But we are starting to talks with a bunch of big players in the food industry. So our partners, our industrial partners, are talking with other players in the food industry saying, how can we get this involved? And we actually have a couple of meetings coming up in the next few weeks that are kind of exciting, looking at big international companies that are interested in food safety. The other thing the other step is actually looking at what I regard as a bigger tuna, which is E. coli is important, but I mean the big problem in food industry right now, safety right now, one of them is listeria, because you can't go more than 2 weeks for somewhere in the world that doesn't get listeria, and we're actually very close to having a similar test for listeria, and I think that the combination of those tests, E. coli plus listeria, really changes the game dramatically. So we're actually planning on looking at 15 different species. So you've identified quite correctly, you mentioned salmonella, that's our next target. After listeria, it's going to be salmonella. Then we're going to work at campylobacter, which is a very hard target. We've been working on that as a side project for 4 years with little success, but we're going to develop more energy to it. And then we'd like to go after things like Shigella, sugar-containing, toxin-containing organisms. So, no, we'd like to expand. We'd like to actually develop a portfolio of about 15 different kits, because that would address most of the known food pathogens.
Coming up next on Western Revealed.
This issue often really does impact young Muslim women, but we wanted to get their voice out and get them to talk about the issue and address it from their own perspective.